Okay, okay, checking microphone. Okay, I'm gonna turn on the biddable. Okay, now it should be fine. Welcome everybody. This is UnFantasmaMas, or Ghost for your friends. For all my friends who doesn't speak Spanish, and this is just a Bridge 2, and this is a little pick up about how am I at this moment. Okay, bad joke, so let's go back to the action. And well, I'm gonna play in the easy mode, which is marathon friendly. I'm gonna play as Axel, so the time will start when I gain control of Axel, so I'm gonna take the countdown. There's like 7 seconds, but well, it doesn't matter. Let's start a timer when I select a character. I pick the character. So let's start. Thanks for good luck, hot coffee. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna start on 3, 2, 1, and go. Alright, this is a Streets of Rage 2, and this is a beat 'em up game developed and released by Sega back in 1992 for Japan and 1993 for the rest of the world. And from the Streets of Rage franchise, this is considered as the best game of the franchises because, well, compared with the first game, it has been added a lot of improvements like sub-movements, the sprites, and many stuff. Also, something that I need to say about this franchise is that it marked a new point at the video gaming industry since the first game, and the music composer Yuzo Koshiro got credits at the main screen, so that's something nice because you can hear, or just if my voice led to us here, you can hear the soundtrack. It doesn't feel like a video game soundtrack, something like that. It's more based on the 90s club music, so that's something cool. If you love retro music and all that stuff, definitely you will love this soundtrack. Also, Yuzo Koshiro has composed a lot of great tunes, not only for games, but he also released some singles, and also in some dancing games there are some of their songs. And also on YouTube there's a Streets of Rage DJ set made by him. I think that it was in 2002 or something like that. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this game. Obviously it's a sequel from the first Streets of Rage game, and the plot is that everything happens like 1 year later than the first game, when Mr. X and all his gang got defeated, and then Skate, one of the playable characters on this game, got noticed that his older brother got kidnapped by Mr. X, so he and all his friends need to rescue him. And this game is basically separately on 4 different categories for all the characters, and also it depends about the difficulty. The most fastest character is Max, but I prefer to use Axel because, well, he's a bit nice in some way. So for now I don't have many stuff to say about some movements or some stuff like that. And also, if sometimes I can't talk correctly, it's because, well, I'm a bit sleepy. But fortunately, I don't think that will be a problem to beat the game. Well, as I've said before, this is a beat 'em up game, and in time it was a big potential rival to Final Fight, which was the principal beat 'em up game on the SNES, developed and published by Capcom. So on this first stage there's no some important stuff or something like that. And well, now it's time to go for the first boss, which is Barbon. And I'm just going to here the buttons because we know that the Sega Genesis controller the principal controller has 3 buttons, so we're gonna talk like the button A, B, and C. So the button A makes this kind of special attacks that are potential, but the only problem with them is that, well, every time you use it, your health goes down. So I will reserve that kind of special attacks on bosses because it's more faster. Unfortunately, I haven't got a good RNG, a good pace on this boss, so it was a bit slower than usual. for me to beat him. And also with B button I can hit, and with the C button I jump. And I'm using the Wii Virtual Console version, using an SNES Classic Edition controller, which is a bit curious. And I said this because on this game recently has been added a new category in some way, or the platforms can't be separate, because well, on the Sega Genesis this game has a bit of lag in some parts, and that's something that doesn't happen on the emulated versions such as the Wii ones, or in the ports, like for example the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 ports, or also the 3DS ports. So that's the reason why there are two separate categories. So in this case I am making this run on the PC and EMU and categories, since I'm playing the Wii Virtual Console version. And also this game, as many other Sega Genesis games, has been published on a lot of platforms. One of the most recent has been the Nintendo 3DS. It's supposed that on the PlayStation 4 this game has been released, but as far as I know the game hasn't been released on this platform. And it's a nice title, so if you have the opportunity to play it, doesn't matter if you get it for a Genesis, or you're playing on an EMU, or getting on a modern console, I recommend it a lot more than 3DS version, since it has an 3D mode, 3D watching mode, and which is nice for a 2D game. I'm gonna talk a bit about the mechanics. As you can see, sometimes I will jump and make a kick in the air, because in some way I can move a bit faster doing this. But sometimes the RNG or the NPC characters will not let me to do this, as we have saw a while ago. Okay, I'm gonna go for the second boss, and I'm gonna talk about in general about this, because some bosses features in another stages, but as sub-bosses or something like that. And with this special guy, with Jet, I have a little bit problems to beat him. It took me a big amount of time sometimes, because it's a little bit hard for me to see which zone is he in order to defeat him. So I'm gonna keep quiet for a bit while I try to beat him. Just in case. One more. Nice. Okay, that was a good one. And thank you everybody for the good luck. And well, and on this game there are a total of 8 stages. So in some stages there are new zones and new kind of enemies that we are gonna see in all entire game. And also, if you will notice that sometimes if there are some enemies on screen, I will try to move them to the center of the screen, because for example, if I make that they go for the corners, and if I hit them, and they will go out of screen, and that's bad in some cases, because it's a bit hard that they appear again on screen. So if they're off screen, and sometimes you need to wait a bit in order they appear on screen. But if you have luck, you can hit them when they are out of screen, so which is nice. But I will try to keep them on screen, since I will lose a big amount of time if I make that they go off screen, like for example in this case without enemies. Fortunately, there are some occasions that more enemies, like on this occasion, appears. I can make that they come at the screen while I hit the other guys and go out of screen. And also, I have made here a big mistake. Susaku has went out of screen. So sometimes in order to make that they appear on screen, I will move to the center of the screen. I will go far away from them in order that make that the characters move. And also, as you can see, I can use some stuff that appears on the stage, for example the knives and all that stuff, but I'm not gonna use them since I lose a big amount sometime if I try to use them. I mean, they can be helpful on a casual mode, at least for me, but I prefer to use the classic hits. Okay, here's another enemy. It's Piano, and I will try to hit him in order to make that he keeps on the center on the screen, because if he goes far away, that will be bad in some way. And unfortunately, this is not a good run because I have died twice. So, well, just I hope that on the next stages I don't have any kind of problems, but hopefully I will finish under my estimate, so that's fine for me. Okay, that was good. Oh, I haven't been. Come on. Okay. And also sometimes, and like on this screen, I will move to Alex to the right of the screen, because if I keep him on the center on another point, he will start to walk in order to move to the next ascent. So in order to save a couple of seconds, I will do that movement. So I told this right now because maybe if I haven't told it and you continue watching the run, you will ask him, well, why does he's making that? But that's the case. And also I need to be careful with that stuff, because if I hit them, as you can see, they explode and they make me damage. Fortunately, that stuff damages the enemies, but rarely I'm gonna use it. And this Alien X or something like that just appear on this stage, fortunately. So I don't need to have any kind of problems with this. And also, this is the point that the video game starts to lose some logic. Okay. Now it's time to go on the third boss. Well, it's not the third boss. And as you can see, sometimes on these boss stages another enemy will appear on screen, but I will try to don't hit them, or at least don't try to focus on them, because I will just lose time. It doesn't matter, like for example, if the enemy that I have defeated still keeps on screen and I defeat the boss, automatically the fight finishes. Quiet here, buddy. Please, please. Okay. No. Okay, nice. Okay, it's time to start on the fourth stage. And well, I haven't talked about the bosses. And on the first stage we got Abadidi, if I remember correctly in this moment. And the boss of the last stage was Sam, the third one. And as you can see, and I have said, on some parts of the stages we will see that some kind of enemies or bosses appeared, and they looks like principal bosses of the stages. Some bosses are easy to defeat and others give some time to beat them. For example, with Jed and Santa, they used to jump on different parts of the screen, so you need to check in which part they are in order to defeat them. But another example like Abadidi, and no, sorry, Abadid is from this stage. With Barbon is from this stage, I have to remember. And the case with Barbon and with Abadidi, as you can see, you will see at the end of the stage, it's a bit easier to defeat them since you can make that they keep on the same place, so that saves a lot of time. And also another curious thing that I need to say about this game, it's about the enemies. As you can see, the sprites are the same in many enemies, and also there will be some times that the same sprite will be used a lot of times, maybe twice, or we'll see like 3 or 4 enemies that are literally the same. Like on this case with this guy, there are 2 of them. And if we pay attention to the names of the enemies, because down just in the down of the Alex health, we can see the name of the enemy who is I forgot the word. The enemy who is making damage to Alex, or the enemies that we are making damage. So please, Metal M, come out. Okay. Get the car! Get the car! I hope that I can do that, to be honest. And also, in some occasions you will see that I will focus just on one enemy and instead of many others that are on the other bottom screen. Why I do that? Because if I wait enough time, and as you have saw, the enemies will be just on the same point, so with a simple hit or a simple combo I can hit many enemies, so that should be fine for me. And also another curious thing that you can note if you check the names of the enemies is that sometimes the names make a kind of bad jokes or something like that about the characters. For example, with that fat dude, his name was Big Band. And also you can see that this special fighters has more characteristic Japanese name, and for example these regular enemies, they have like American names or English names or whatever you wanna consider that. And also I don't know if somebody have noticed on the arcade zone, on the bar on the 3rd stage, there was some arcade machines, and I forgot to talk about it on that moment because the Japanese name of this franchise is Bar Knuckle, and on that part it appears some arcade machines of the first game of Bar Knuckle, so it was a good Easter egg. But don't worry, there are more of them here on the rest of the stages, so I hope that we can watch them. And now it's boss time versus Abadidi. Sometimes it's a little problem to beat him, and in this case I'm not gonna use the A button, which in theory it's the most fastest way to defeat bosses because Abadidi moves a lot, so it doesn't matter if I hit him. I will explain like here. He will look away to escape from my attack, so that's not good for me. Oh, okay, that was a little mistake. So please. Oh, okay, that was bad. Stage 4 completed. Yeah, I know, it was a very long elevator. Oh well, that underground fight club wasn't so legal as we can say, so in some way we can understand why the elevator was so long. So remember guys, the first rule of the fight club is to don't talk about the fight club. And also, I don't know if this is a gag or a bad joke or something like that, but also this character, this fat dude, his name is Heart, and also there's another enemy on next stage that's like this, which his name is Gorman. You will see more examples about what I say about the names on next stages. I don't know if it was on purposely or it was just a coincidence. I think that it was just a coincidence because this is the American version, and Sega of America was so carefully about the content that they allowed to publish on the Sega consoles on America. So maybe it was this is just my mind or something like that. I don't know how to answer that. Oh nice, I got a 1-up. And now it's time for a little sub-boss. His name is Wayne, and same as Barbon. In many cases you can see I will keep the enemies just on one side, because it's more faster to keep them close to a wall and start to hit them to make some damage. Because if you time correctly your inputs, you will make that the character got freeze in some way and don't make any kind of movement, so that will be something good for the run in some way. Okay, I'm gonna lose this life, and in some way there will be some parts on the stages I'm gonna do that on purposely. I will make that all the Axel health go out in order to have more health, and with it I will be able to use the A button for make special attacks that reduce some health. And well, with this boss I will do that, and also I will talk about another curious thing about this game. And also, if you were wondering, or maybe not, I can take that bombs. But okay, I need to quit this, and I don't think that they will appear again. So unfortunately, I will not able to show that. Come on. Okay. Ah, come on! Now it's fine. And it's time to go for the 5th boss of the game. And if you have played some how can I say it? If you have played some Punch-Out games, you will recognize that this Punch-Out guy, that since he saw that there wasn't any new Punch-Out game for the SNES, sorry, for the SNES, he decided to try luck on a Sega game. Okay, and nice. Okay, and also I'm timing this with my splits, and this stage, the stage number 5, was a golden split, so that was good. I'm glad with it. And also, as you can see on that part, an enemy took me and threw me away. And so if I don't press any button or something like that, and I will fall to the floor, and it's not good for me because I will get damaged. I will be damaged. I will catch damage, sorry. And obviously I will lose time while I wait that the animation of the damage plays. So in order to skip that and don't fall to the floor, I press the I press the jump button, the C button, plus the up button on D-pad. So if you are playing to play Streets of Rage 2, remember this, because this is gonna help you a lot. Now just a little fight versus Peasant and Condor. And now there's a little part on the jungle. Well, but I think that this is something like an add-on or something like that. And also, as you can see, that's another funny stuff in some way for me. But also, if an enemy catch you and throw you away, if you are at the same position like another enemy, and when you are has been thrown, and you can see that also an enemy will throw another enemy. So in some ways, that's helpful, and also it's funny to watch. TBH. Here's go, man. And also in some parts you will see that instead of I wait to the enemies, I will continue walking in order to make that the screen freeze, because that means that I am now in the corner and I need to beat all the enemies in order to continue. I will do that sometimes, because in some occasions I prefer to wait to beat to the enemies and then I continue walking. These motor bike guys are a bit annoying. And also something curious, I don't know if somebody has saw that on second stage, but also if the motorcycle falls down, it will explode. So you don't need to be close to it, because you will get damaged. But if an enemy gets close to it, it will get damaged too, so that's a good part. Okay, I don't like a lot this last part, because we'll have a similar boss like on the third stage, but also we have a sub-enemy, another enemy that's another jetpack dude, so I'll just focus on shooter. Okay, please RNG, please. Nice, that was a very fast battle, at least for me. Stage number 7. I don't think that I will have something important to say here, so if I keep quiet, you will understand the situation. Not because in some way I'm trying to focus, but well, it doesn't look like I am trying to do that. And also referring to the names, another guy like this, which his name is Buffett. I don't know, sometimes these names are fun to watch. Because this is not the case on recent games, because for example, if there's a little detail, I mean, if Streets of Rage 2 will be a game released on these days, and for example, this guy having this name, I'm very sure that there will be people that will got mad with it. So in some way I think that the retro games are a good example of how much does the censorship has being introduced on the video games or something like that. Because also on that era we got some kind of censorship. One example was with the Mortal Kombat franchise. On the SNES version, you wasn't able to watch some fatalities, and also there wasn't any kind of blood on the game. But it looks like on the Sega Genesis version that happened too, but there was a special secret code that if you used, you will activate the blood. So that was a good point for Sega, that the kind of censorship that they used was so different instead of the Nintendo ones, because Nintendo got more restrictions for it, because they wanna try to keep a family-friendly image. Okay, I don't know. To fix here, because I got distracted. So in this platform, it will stop in some way in some parts, and in order to make that it can keep moving, I need to defeat the enemies. Fortunately, this jetpack dude doesn't have so much health as the other ones, but also it's a bit annoying for me to beat him. Let's sip. Okay. And also I am waiting to catch the turkey, because the turkey will make that all my health go full. So I prefer to defeat first the jetpack guy and then catch the turkey. So we have we got the Sparrow here, but it wasn't Jack. Okay. Now we start here. So move, please, move here, come to the center, please. Come to the center. Okay, no. Okay, I'm gonna hit him. Doesn't matter to me. No. Okay, bad input. Because it was supposed that I will try to catch him and throw it to the center of the screen. Sometimes I hate this guy because it makes me lose a big amount of time. Well, now I have him on this point, so this is easy peasy. And now we move to the last part of this stage. Instead of have just one boss, we have two bosses. But fortunately, beat them, it's easy. And also here up screen I don't have any kind of problem, because the range is not so extended. Nice. This stretch got me ranging so hard. That's the point, Stephen, that's the point. This is Streets of Rage 2. And well, I will hope that Sega will do a new game of this franchise one of these days. Because this is a nice beat 'em up franchise, and I love so much the soundtrack. My favorite song of this game is the first stage song, which is Ghost Strike. But in general, the game is a masterpiece talking about soundtrack. Okay, I don't know why my controller is not receiving my inputs, and I can defeat this from. Okay, it's fine. No, I haven't played Maximum Carnage. I'm not used to play beat 'em up games. I am more like platforming, puzzles, and JRPG games. But principally, talking about speedrunning, I'm most like a Crash Bandicoot speedrunner. I just speedrun Street Rage 2, just like my principal to the game. And also sometimes I run it to take some breaks about Crash speedruns. But even on casual mode, this is a nice game. And well, that's another curious point of the game, because well, at least the first Streets of Rage game got an enhanced version for the Sega CD, and in that version you can hear clearly the voices of the enemies, so you can understand in some way what does they say and all that stuff. But on the cartridge version and also on this game, as far as I know, anyone knows why does the character says. Okay, let's make a damage boost. No, why? Good. Sorry. And also, you will note that here are some sub-bosses that looks like the principal bosses of the other stages. And also this is the last stage of the game, so if I don't talk it's because I'm trying to focus in order to don't make big mistakes. Get the car, get the car. Well, watching that since that point of view, maybe he was a car seller. Okay, now we have this little sub-boss and then the final boss. So, quiet here. Nope. Please, Shiva. Nice. Now it's time to beat Mr. Boss. And also time will finish when the stage 8 cleared screen appears. Okay, I think I'm gonna do a little damage boost. Or maybe not. Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Okay, so time will finish in a while, and time. And well, that was 35 minutes and 15 minutes, and that's a PB. My previous PB was 35, 37. So well, I mean, I wasn't expecting to get a PB TBH. But I'm glad in some way that it was. I just need this high lag. Oh my god, I don't have any kind of words to define this. Because well, my PB is still being bad. The world record is like 23 minutes by SM Izumi. And also he's a greatest very good runner. And yeah, my previous PB was 35-32 and now this PB is 35-15. So well, I don't know what to do if we are ahead on the